Anxiety cases can be very complicated. This is Jace, and when we asked his mom to list all the things that frighten him on a scale of 0 to 5, with 5 being the worst, the entire page was almost entirely covered in 5s. One of Jace's fears, which is very common in almost all anxiety cases, is noise. Sudden noise, known noise, any kind of noise. So here, we're beginning to introduce him to the idea that noise can equal food. All we're doing is bouncing a kibble off of the little box. This is very simple for Jace at this point. So right now it's all rewarding. It's like a clicker, actually. All we're doing is creating a marker word. And in this case, the marker is the noise. So he's putting together a correlation between click, or the noise that the kibble makes, and food happening. As you see here, he's pretty enthusiastic about the game. Little confused. He's still learning. This is only his 4th lesson. But if we watch him, he looks up at us. He's paying attention. Occasionally the kibble gets a little far. And he's pretty engaged, which is the point. I want him to feel challenged, not at this point because we're putting together the correlation, but later on you'll see he'll be challenged to overcome his fear and I want him to want to come back and face what frightens him. So here we introduce a cue. The cue in this case is a little orange stick. First, actually, we had to desensitize him to the stick because the stick itself was frightening. That took about 5 minutes. So now you see he's already more wary. And you see his body language is a little more concerned. He doesn't really dig the stick, even though we desensitized him to it. So tap equals kibble. Tap, kibble. And again, you see his body language has changed. He's a little more concerned, but he's not leaving. He's still engaged. He's still involved in the game. Part of dealing with fear is learning that you can overcome what's frightening. Think of the challenges that we face in our lives. The stronger we are, the more we know we can overcome. It's overcoming our fear that makes us courageous. So he has to feel a little bit of worry and overcome it to feel a sense of confidence. And that's what we're building here. The stick itself just simply serves as a cue, and you'll see in a couple seconds what we're going to be setting up here. Because we were going to put him in control of creating the noise. So we gave him a break of several hours. And here we are, we've got the stick again, we've got the little box again. Again, this is a new picture. It's the same picture we had before, but a couple hours have passed. So he needs to start again from ground zero. So we just throw some kibble on the floor, let him kind of relax a little bit. And what we're going to ask him to do is create eye contact with us. When we receive eye contact, we're going to tap the stick, give him a kibble. Eye contact, tap, kibble. So what this does is it puts him in charge of the noise. It puts him in charge of creating the very thing that he finds frightening, but he wants to create that thing because the fear is very low. We're not bashing cymbals in his ear or turning on lightning or thunder or firing a gun in his head. We are tapping a stick on wood, which he's already dealt with. What we're wanting him to do is tell us that he's ready for more. Eye contact, tap, food. So by doing this, by creating this cue system, he will start to understand that if I have the orange stick, and obviously his mom will have something else, usually we use spatulas or wooden spoons, something you can kind of bash against things in the house, or even if you're using a cell phone, just something that he can see that is so unique that he never sees it. Now we move the chair into the picture, and suddenly you see he's frightened of the chair because it moved. So once again, we just reestablish trust. The world's not going to kill him. We give him a little bit of treats, and we're going to wait for eye contact, tap that chair, he gets a kibble. Now the chair noise is new, it's totally novel. A different noise, obviously, a little bit of a ringing bell noise. Eye contact, kibble. We try not to get the kibble that close because, as you see, he is a little worried about the chair. The thing is making a noise. So we try to throw the treats a little further away, but sometimes it doesn't happen. In that case, I dropped one. He's still engaged in the game, but he's a little more wary. He's been working hard all day. This is tiring stuff. Overcoming fear is very, very exhausting. So we want to help him as much as we can with the time that we have available to us. But at the same time, we don't want to overwhelm him. So again, he's still involved in the game. You can see his body language is a little concerned, but he's also curious. And again, we want him to learn courage. Courage leads to confidence. So eye contact takes a little longer because he's a little more concerned. There it is. Treat. Now, any second now, you're going to see I'm about to lose him. So he starts sniffing. That's a little bit of dissociative kind of self-soothing behavior. And off he strolls. And I stand here. I clip this out. But I stood there for 55 seconds waiting for him to come back. I didn't call him. I didn't do anything. I let him sniff around. This is his game. He controls the game. And I want him to feel that level of autonomy because, again, building confidence, part of that comes from knowing that you can control your environment. Dogs control very little in their lives. We tell them when they're going to eat, when they're going to go to the bathroom, when we're going to leave for work, when we're going to come home. And generally when the scary noises are going to happen are completely out of their control. So here, I'm going to give him a little bit of control over this game. And as we see, his 55 seconds to check out were fine. He came back. He wasn't scared. He was a little worried. But he wasn't clawing at the door. He didn't want out. All he did is go to the corner of the room and sniff around a trash can, which is normal dog behavior. So again, we've got the engagement that we're looking for. But he's wary. See the step back? Another step back. So we're going to change it up here a little bit. He was starting to get a little worried, and we've been working at this for a fairly long time. So all we're going to do now is throw a bunch of food on the floor. Part of that is because he was getting worried about the area, and part of it is just to get his brain out of his way a little bit. All he has to do, and you see him looking up at me, all he has to do is eat kibble off the floor. This is it. And again, there's a lot of thought going on. His brain is a little muddy at this point. He's kind of tired. He's been making some tough decisions, so we're going to make it easy for him. But at the same time, I want him to deal with the picture of me, the chair, the stick. So yes, we're still challenging him, but the challenge has gone down quite a bit. He's being reinforced by sniffing. Sniffing creates optimism in dogs. There are studies that show this. So we do want him to stick his nose on the ground and allow this picture to change. So there's no noises here. Everything is kind of settling down. He's, again, still being challenged a little bit, but it's a lot more soothing for him. He can kind of self-soothe. Just sniff around the floor and grab those kibbles. And in this case, it is kibble. Before it was treats. It's a higher value. This is actually his own dog food. And again, I just want him to learn. I just want him to relax a little bit, settle down a little bit. He was getting kind of worried. Again, we've been working at this pretty hard, and it's a lot of really hard work for him. It doesn't look like hard work, but overcoming fear is a big deal. So we need to be respectful of that. As you see, his body language is starting to loosen up a little bit. I mean, he's worried about that. The table, that is new today. He's never seen that before. I mean, there are a lot of new items in this room. The chair, me, the scary orange stick. So he's dealing with all those pretty well. His body language is loosening up a little bit. I don't think this is a dog who's ever going to carry his tail way over his head. I mean, this is not a dog who's ever going to come bolting into a room like a golden retriever with his tail wagging. But here he is approaching me. He's out of kibble on the floor. But see the worried look? He's just like, oh, what new thing is about to happen? And we don't want him to be in that state, but that is his background state. So he's always going to default to that. I threw the kibble away so I could stand up so that my change of position didn't freak him out. I didn't want to have a change of position happen right with him standing right there. That wouldn't have been fair. So afterwards, what we do is we just sit down. In this dog's case, he loves touch. See him walk up to me. He wants to interact with human beings. He enjoys interacting with human beings. And all the training that we've been doing before is very mechanical. Honestly, I could be doing it with a remote control in a different room. I don't say anything during that training. It's very mechanical, kind of cold, kind of distant. And I want to make sure that we really reestablish that connection and connect with him and meet him on an emotional basis as well as a cognitive basis. I want his brain to learn to solve problems, but I want his heart and soul too, as it were. Now, somebody just came out of the office. That was unexpected. See the person in the background. He's worried about people. She's going to come around that corner and show up in that window right to the right. So we wait for him.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's not ideal. Obviously, I didn't want that to happen, but it did. But he comes right back. And he's happy. He's loose. He's like, let's do this. This feels good. So we just keep doing it. All I do is I look for things that I think he's going to enjoy. I mean, we all know what a good massage feels like. And I'm just trying to make him feel good. If he moves into it, I'm assuming he likes it. If he steps away, I'm going to assume he doesn't like it. It's not very scientific. So again, he's worried about her. He can hear her moving around the building. He doesn't know where she's at. And again, he does have some stranger danger. That is the reason he's here. One of the reasons. But he comes back in. He wants more. It's very clear what he wants. We try to reach these dogs on as many levels as we can. One of the most powerful levels is here. This is play. And this wasn't recorded today. This was recorded several weeks ago when I had another person in the building to help me record. If you see, he's actually playing off me, not the toy so much. This actually took a lot of work, and you can still see he's not 100% into it. By this week he was. Again, there's no video of that. But he's pretty wiggly. He's happy. He's play bowing. He's engaged. What we're trying to do is we're trying to move him into that play mode. A dog cannot be fearful and playful at the same time. We're real excited with Jace. We think he's going to do really well with this. We have the ability to handle him on multiple levels, and we're real excited about him.